If you guys are looking for a way to save space in your garage, I have a solution here from FLEXIMOUNTS that I think is a great option. It not only stores your items out of the way, it does so safely because you don't need a ladder to load things on this platform. You simply lower the platform, load your stuff on there, then simply raise it back up to the ceiling. In addition, it does have a 300-pound capacity, and you can use the included handle over there, or you can speed the process up by using your own drill at home. My goal here today, we'll do a quick unboxing of this kit to show you what you get. We'll briefly talk about some of the specs and the tools you need, then I'll finally show you how you can very easily install this yourself in your garage. The model number we have here is GL1. FLEXIMOUNTS makes various different versions. They make some other ones that are stationary. And if you guys seen some of my other videos out there, I've installed very similar setups in my garage, and I've also installed a couple where I built them out of plywood and 2x4s. But what makes this version here unique is it has those cables over there where you can lower and raise that platform, so you're not walking up ladders, holding big boxes, etc. there. You can simply lower that platform, load your stuff on there, then you can simply raise it up. So it's a lot safer setup to do that versus walking up ladders. As we get it opened up, you're going to see that everything is neatly packed in here, and here's our instructions as well. But if you notice, it has a lot of this foam protective on all the corners. If you get any other type of garage equipment similar to this, I won't mention any names, but a lot of them, they come in boxes that they don't have the protective foam on the outside and they're all beat up. So this one does look like it's very neatly packed in here. Alright, so with everything laid out here, you can see back there we have our installation template, and I'll show you how that works here when we install it. We got our main support over there, and that's going to be what's going to be drawing up the cables on each side. These are going to be our supports that'll get mounted to the ceiling, so we can mount that up there and attach it to our cables. We also do have all of our hardware here, so we have various different screws, washers, and we got some leg bolts. It also includes this tape, which is used to tape up that template over here. Then over here is going to be our supports for our platform, and it's folded up here, and I'll show you how that works as well here in a minute. Then last but not least is our handle here, and we can attach that part over there to that, and then we can use that to ratchet this up and down. With that said, you can also use a drill. It'll just be a little bit quicker to raise and lower the platform. As you can see, it does come with everything we need to install this, including all the hardware. There are some basic things at your house that you're also going to need. The first is going to be a drill, a stud finder, and a tape measure, because we need to make sure we measure our studs on our ceiling. They need to be a width of 48 inches across in order to install this template. Alright, so moving on to the installation. According to the manual, this storage rack is suitable for ceilings up to 9 feet, and you can install this in concrete or wood joist ceilings that have studs either 12, 16, or 24 inches apart. With that said, you must have a width of 48 inches across. So over here is going to be the one side, over here is our other side. You must have 48 inches wide there. Then the length of our axle or our gearbox in the back is going to be roughly 6 feet. So you need to make sure you account for all those dimensions, when you're looking for somewhere to install this. Now obviously you can see here I'm installing mine in one of my buildings that doesn't have a ceiling of drywall, so my studs are very easily identifiable here. If you're going to be installing this in your garage and you have drywall, you're going to need to make sure you get a stud finder. If you don't have one, you can get them. They're relatively cheap, $10, $20, and just make sure you're identifying the studs in your ceiling, and again make sure it's 48 inches across in order to make sure we have the correct width in order to install this template. To get the template installed, what I found out to be the easiest way here for me was just put a couple extra screws that I had laying around my shop in the center there, and also on both of the sides. Then I also used a little bit of included tape that they've also included to do this. You can just use the tape if you want, but I found it just to be a little bit quicker to add those screws. Now that we have our template laid out, now we can start marking our holes for all of our braces on each corner. Alright, so starting with the pulley side, we'll put our first bracket in here. Then you're going to have those 4 holes. Just simply mark out all 4 holes. And repeat that process on the other side. Moving on to the gearbox side, you're going to have these other bigger brackets. One note here is you need to make sure this notch is pointing inward on both of the brackets on both sides. Then we'll go ahead and set this up here and we'll mark our holes. Then do the same thing on the other side. Now we're ready to drill our pilot holes. The directions do say to use a 5mm drill bit. I don't have a 5mm, I have a 3/16 or a 13/64. A 3/16 is just a little bit less than 5 mil. 1364 is a little bit over, so we're going to go with the one a little bit under. We're going to drill a 2.5 inch hole in each one of these holes on all 4 corners. Now we're ready to install the brackets on the ceiling and our holes. You're going to see it comes with all this hardware here, and it's nicely coded by letter, and you're looking the directions and it'll show you which ones we're doing. For these brackets, we're going to be using the ones over here that are labeled G. And all you need to do is take one of your leg screws, take an included washer, and you're simply going to thread it in each one of those holes. I'm going to be using a 13 mil socket on the end here. With that said, they do also include this little contraption here that you can use as well, but I found it probably to be a little bit easier just to use the socket, so I'm going to use the socket that we have here. Alright, so starting with the gearbox side, again, make sure you're lining up this notch in the center of our bracket. It needs to be pointing inward on both of the sides for the gearbox side. Then we'll just loosely tighten all 3 of these leg screws. Alright, then we'll do one final pass and then we'll tighten them up. Then repeat that same process on all 4 of the corners. Now we're ready to install our gearbox up in our bracket. So we're going to need 4 of bolt A, and those will be used to attach our base. Then you're going to need 2 of bolt B, and what this is going to do is you're going to tighten up this side first. Then once you loosely tighten that, you're going to fully extend this out until that hole's exposed. Then you're going to insert a bolt B in there. Then you're going to go on the other side, fully extend that side out, tighten up the bracket, then also include another B when that one's fully extended as well. And to tighten those, they do include a hex key that you can tighten them, or I'm just going to use a number 5 here and use my ratchet. Then one other call out here on the installation, just make sure when you're installing this up there that this side of the gearbox, it has this label here, it must be facing inward, not outward. So just make sure you're installing that in the right orientation, then we'll go ahead and install it up there on our brackets. Alright, so slide our bracket in. Then take your A and simply tighten both of those down. Alright, so once you got that sitting in there loosely, don't tighten it up all the way because we want to make sure everything's lined up over here first. Then we'll come back and we'll tighten up everything. Then do the same thing on the other side. Extend your gearbox, line it up in those brackets, then loosely tighten up our bolts. Now we need to insert bolt B into this hole here. Just make sure our bracket is fully extended out like that. We'll simply tighten this down. And after we get this snugged up, then we'll tighten up that bracket over there. We'll repeat the same process on the other side. Then we're done with the gearbox side. Alright, so now we're ready to run our wires through our pulleys. Just take the longer wire and you're going to run it through here and just make sure the black wire is on the outside. Then do the same thing on the other pulley. Alright, so now we're ready to install the platform. So when you unfold it, just make sure your label is facing up on the platform. Then you're going to take these 2 cross supports and you're going to put them on both sides. And the idea is you're going to level this in between here where you have the same amount of distance on those 2 end holes on the outside. Then we're going to take the included J bolts and we're going to tighten them down here, and we'll loosely tighten all of them. Then we'll snug them up all together once we got it tightened. Alright, so then once you get those loosely on there, this holds the hole here, or on that hole on the other side. Just make sure you have the same distance there, then snug these up, and we'll repeat the same process on the other side. Alright, the last thing on the install, then just take the eyelets on each side and thread them through those holes. The one call out here is when you're installing this, make sure the black wire is again on the outside, and if you follow your line up all the way over to their gearbox, just make sure there's no kinks or tangles. It should look straight. You will notice that this one is going to be a little bit loose. That is normal, so don't worry about that, but just make sure the black's on the outside on all of them. You'll thread this through, tighten up the first nut, then you'll tighten up the additional jam nut, then you're done with the installation. In regard to the operation, you first want to release the safety clip, so simply push it back like that. Then position the handle right here. Then you're going to turn it counterclockwise to raise it and clockwise to lower it. Then the one last comment here, if you don't want to use this handle because it is going to be a little bit slower raising and lowering this, you can use a regular drill. Just use a 5/16 socket, remove this handle, and you can do this a lot quicker. So that is just something to keep in mind. You do have the option of that as well. Alright, to wrap things up here, as you can see, this was a very easy process to get this thing installed. I am impressed with the overall stability of it. It is going to have a little bit of movement because it is attached by wires on the corner, but once you load this down and raise it up, it does feel very sturdy, and again, it is rated at that 300-pound capacity, which is pretty impressive. If you're interested in getting this for your garage, I'll put some links in the description. At the time of this recording, FLEXIMOUNTS is offering a promo where it's around 20%, I believe, that they're offering off of this product on Amazon, which brings this down to roughly around $170. The retail is roughly around $260. So, it is a significant savings right now with that promo at the time of this recording. In addition, they make various other garage solutions. Not only our GL1 here that's raised and lowered by these wires, they also have various fixed versions that you can get both with the platforms and just the kit where you can install the plywood base yourself. And those are a little bit cheaper, but if you're needing some of those solutions, those are also a good option as well. So hopefully this helped you guys out if you're looking for an easy way to not only store items off the ground, but store them off the ground safely. With this solution here, you'll never need to use a ladder ever again because you simply lower your platform, load your gear on there, and simply raise it back up to the ceiling. If this helped you out, please give me the thumbs up. If you're interested in more content like this, please hit that subscribe. But again, I hope this helped you out, and thanks for watching.